my friends, we have gathered here to praise God and to witness to our faith as we celebrate the life, the love, and the legacy of C.T. Martin.
The Bible tells us that for everything there is a season, a time to live and a time to die.
What I love most about serving with C.T. is that you always knew exactly where you stood.
C.T. Martin was one of the few genuinely humble politicians that I know.
He loved the city of Atlanta with all of his heart, but he loved Southwest Atlanta the most.
He didn't do a whole lot of talking. He did his thing through action.
We must work the works of the one who sent us while it is day, because night is coming when no one can work. C.T. Martin worked during the day. He fed the hungry, housed the homeless, encouraged the poor, restored the shattered. He taught the children, strengthened the families, supported the schools, directed the policy. C.T. Martin worked while it was day.
You see those young people over there? That's C.T. Martin. You see the middle-aged people in the back over there standing up? That's C.T. Martin. You see the culinary arts people back there? That's C.T. Martin. You see the homeless people on the street? That's C.T. Martin. There was never anybody too high or too low for C.T. Martin.
C.T. is someone you could always count on, C.T. And that's not true of everybody.
We are the youngest of the Martin children, and we just wanted to take a moment to say thank you so much for everybody being here, for celebrating our father. He loved Atlanta.
After you delivered an auditorium, the streetscapes, the urban villages, the doctor parks, after you run the dollar stores out of town, the dope pushers from the corners, the doubting Toms and Tomasinos from City Hall, after you sacrificed it all, who will carry the torch of Clarence Terrell Martin?
Do not weep for C.T. Martin today, but celebrate with him, for his life was lived with courage, with conviction, with urgency. He worked while it was day.
Say his name, C.T. C.T., we love you. Thank you.
Yeah. Godspeed, C.T. Martin. God bless you, and God bless the Martin family. Thank you very much.
The Atlanta City Council approves legislation establishing a public safety commission tasked with providing recommendations for public safety reforms in Atlanta. The commission would be comprised of community stakeholders, including members from law enforcement, fire and emergency response, the judicial system, and other experts in public safety. The Council adopts legislation authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds in the amount of $4 million to be used for the construction and equipping of an emergency medical services microstation in southwest Atlanta. The council greenlights an ordinance amending the City Code of Ordinances to create a violent conduct nuisance ordinance and provide that licensed establishments found to be in violation will be subject to due cause for revocation and or denial of an application for a new or transfer of ownership of an alcohol beverage license. The council says yes to an ordinance amending the City Code of Ordinances to require that all businesses licensed to sell alcoholic beverages post the establishment's license in a public and conspicuous place on the premises. The council approves a resolution to authorize the Atlanta Police Department to expand its recapture program for the purpose of rehiring retired police officers who may be assigned specifically to patrol the city's parks and recreation facilities. For more recently approved legislation, please visit our website, citycouncil.atlantaga.gov. This has been your Atlanta City Council Legislative Minute.
Glad you could join us for this edition of Stay at Home Connect. I'm Phyllis Jackson.
Major retailers, Target, CVS, and Kroger end mask requirements for fully vaccinated customers. Officials with Target said in a statement it will no longer require fully vaccinated guests or team members to wear face coverings in its stores. The newly updated guidance has been met with a little confusion. We caught up with Dr. Robert Bernarczyk. He's an associate professor of global health and epidemiology with Emory University. Dr. Bernarczyk says he's concerned that some might take advantage of what he describes as a loose enforcement of the new CDC guidelines and go unmasked, even if they're not fully vaccinated.
We've seen that a lot of places have indicated that they're going to rely on the honor system for individuals who are choosing to not wear a mask, especially for indoor settings, that honor system may break down if individuals are not, fully open about their vaccination status.
Dr. Bernarczyk says right now we still have about 65% of eligible Georgians who are not fully vaccinated. This offers the potential for new outbreaks of COVID-19 to occur as more people start coming together in different settings, mixing with different people other than those that they may have been quarantining with or staying isolated with over the course of the pandemic so far. According to the CDC, 19 states and Washington, D.C. have now fully vaccinated at least 50% of adults. More than 3.5 million kids under the age of 18 have received at least one shot. The CDC is expecting two important pieces of data within the coming months. Officials told lawmakers they hope to have more clinical trial information on COVID-19 vaccines in pregnant women this summer, and children as young as 6 months old by late fall or by the end of the year. These are important groups, especially pregnant women, as experts say they tend to have more severe outcomes with the virus.
We're out here downtown today celebrating the completion of 4 projects that were voted on during our Downtown Decides participatory budgeting process. And we're riding a bike from one location to the other to do a ribbon cutting in each of the 4 transportation projects. Some of the projects we're celebrating today are new bike lanes in the Central Business District, the painting of an island in the middle of the road yellow so people can see it, and some new trash cans in the Sweet Auburn corridor. This is the direct result of citizens participating in this program. This is the first time we've done participatory budgeting in Atlanta, and it puts the power directly in people's hands on how tax dollars are spent, and we're just thrilled with the response and the success of the program so far.
Chastain Park is the largest park in the city of Atlanta. This is the last piece of the Chastain Park path, and it's taken over 25 years since it began, and we are here at a groundbreaking to celebrate this last piece getting ready to start. You know, the phrase, it takes a village, well, it certainly takes a village here. There have been lots and lots of organizations who have helped make this happen. I think there are over 500,000 people and probably about 250,000 dogs that use the path each year. It's an asset that is used by many, many people, from young people walking along to people on bikes to people running and exercising and folks coming after work to enjoy a stroll in the park. And the path has really been a catalyst for revitalizing the park, and so lots of park partners here today with NYO and the horse park and the pool, and it's a wonderful time to celebrate together.
Today we're here for an unveiling. We're unveiling an urban farm, one of the biggest urban farms that will be based here in District 3. And we're here to address the food insecurities that this district has faced for decades. And I think what's so innovative about this idea is that we've partnered with Washington High School, with Greenleaf Farms. We're going to be partnering with the American Heart Association to bring together an ag STEM program that's going to cultivate new, young, fresh blood in urban farming that's going to really be focused on how we can move together as a community in addressing food insecurities within Atlanta. It is time that we take action in our own hands and we start cultivating innovative opportunities like an urban farm, like a grocery retail model where we can pipeline produce into the communities and really help lift up and support our residents.
Everyone, I'm Amir Faroki, Council District 2 Representative and Chair of the Zoning Committee. I want to welcome everyone to the Monday, May 24th, 2021 meeting of the Atlanta City Council Zoning Committee, and to welcome anyone who has signed on to participate. If we could start by Ms. Lindo, please doing a roll call. And if you are going to be voice voting on the roll call, please just note so we can adjust accordingly throughout the meeting. I know Councilmember Boone will be voice voting and maybe some others. Ms. Lindo?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair. We have Councilmember Andre Dickens.
Here.
Councilmember Cleta Winslow. Councilmember Howard Shook.
Aye.
Councilmember Carla Smith. Councilmember Andrea L. Boone. Present. Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet.
Present and voice voting.
Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum with members present.
Wonderful. Welcome, everyone. If we could take the next step by having Ms. Lindo please read the remote meeting statement.
Yes. Good morning. Today's Zoning Committee meeting will be conducted remotely as advertised and in accordance with Charter Code Section 50-14-1. The meeting will be conducted in conformance with Robert Rules of Order and the Rules of Council as authorized by the City Code. The public may access the meeting conference bridge toll-free by dialing 877-579-6743 and entering conference ID number 831-599-1256. This information was also provided on the Friday, May 21st, 2021 public meeting notice. The public may also view the meeting on Channel 26, the Council's homepage at citycouncil.atlanta.ga.gov, Facebook and Twitter pages at ATL Council, and the Council's YouTube channel. Today's meeting agenda was also published and made available on Friday, May 21st via the city's website at atlantacitygA.iqm2.com. In addition, the public is able to submit comments unrelated to zoning items that have or will go before the Zoning Review Board via voicemail at 404-330-6035 yesterday between the hours of 4 and 7 p.m. These comments will be played during the public portion comment of the meeting. All persons present on the remote council meeting conference bridge are requested to please mute your phones and speakers. Meeting participants wishing to speak must be acknowledged by the committee chair. Thank you all in advance for your cooperation. Mr. Chair, we also have Ms. Kieta Holmes, the Director of the Department of Zoning, on the line with us.
Excellent. Our next item is to adopt the agenda. If I could get a motion in a second, I will defer to Councilmembers Overstreet and Boone as they are voice voting. Can we get a motion in second?
Move to second. Overstreet.
Please open the vote, Ms. Linda.
The vote is open, Mr. Chair. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 68-0 nays. The meeting agenda has been adopted.
Our next item is to approve the minutes. If I could get a motion in second.
Move approval.
Ms. Boone, can we get a second?
Second, Boone.
Thank you. Please open the vote.
The vote is open, Mr. Chair. The vote is closed. 68-0 nays. The meeting minutes have been approved.
Our next item is public comment. We have 2 comments amounting to 4 minutes and 35 seconds. If the staff could please play the public comment.
One moment, Mr. Chair.
I am Brother Anthony Muhammad. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. And that's the reality of all humanity. But I ask you, the chairman of the police committee, and you members of the committee, to hear my words. I am asking from my heart chakra, my love for my brothers and sisters are all here. Here in Atlanta, I hear there's information being fed among the legislators at the Capitol of Georgia and the governor. Atlanta needs some intervention of some order that can be instituted by the state. Do you realize that this is the 21st century? We have had you members to sit on this committee and not have the sensitivity to recognize that as a priest committed, you ought to have the love of the community. The people should know they can rely on you, and you'll be able to make things correct and make things feasible so members in the community can have accessibility to resources and information to lead them to changing the ways of their life, but not to the prison, huh? Why is it that I'm calling on this committee? We need to come together as you will go to the meeting for Martin Luther King's birthday. Say the love of man that gave his life for the benefit of the poor, the benefit of the majority of people that look like himself, that not getting justice here in North America. You enslaved the people for 400 years. Ex-descendants of slaves. And then you got the young children that can't find economic empowerment because collaboration of the police department is needed too. You had Mayor Keisha Lance Bottom want to use the jail for a facility to train and teach people. Where is your voice at? You worked up under the leadership of the mayor for the years she was mayor, now she's leaving, and you want to just lock them up? You don't think we have the love for our brothers and sisters as you have for your family members, police officers, and those in the position of influence and authority? So I ask you, committed chairman and members of this committee, let's use the police in a way to uplift the relationship in communities and find resources to help the young people you find on the street. Because you cannot forget Georgia and the United States did children in the state of Georgia and their mothers and fathers, matriarchs. And if you count up what you owe, it's the whole country and its state.
Greetings, zoning committee, council members, and staff. And special greetings to you citizens and voters of Atlanta paying attention to our government in action this election year. Ben Howard, Senior Advocate, Public Policy Analyst. Under item 5 of the NPUR agenda this month was committee report. That would have been an ideal time for Renette L. Scott, the perennial chair of the NPUR Zoning Committee, to lead the discussion about the CDP, which some know, but many may not recognize as the acronym for the Comprehensive Development Plan. Instead, Renette L. Scott made some off-the-cuff comments about a matter she said she intends to bring before the NPU membership at the next meeting. The Comprehensive Development Plan allows citizens to be informed about and to be part of the city's planning for the next 5, 10, and 15 years. If there is discussion about the Comprehensive Development Plan at NPUR, it is no doubt during clandestine meetings held behind closed doors and never reported to the NPUR membership by way of committee meeting minutes or recommended NPUR policy. CDP transparency takes on even more importance since the NPUR 9 has steered NPUR into taking a month-long summer hiatus in addition to its month-long winter hiatus. Working with Vice Chair Anthony Robinson, Paulus Clare, and Ricardo Jacobs, Renette L. Scott will continue to control NPUR zoning policies without the full knowledge and consent of the 20,000 residents, voters, and stakeholders along the Kelvin Cascade corridors and beyond. I continue to urge that if and when any recommendations come to this committee from Neighborhood Planning Unit R, you insist that those secret recommendations be accompanied by official minutes verifying that all meetings related to NPUR zoning were publicly announced and were conducted in accordance with the Georgia Open Meetings Act. Again, continue to be aware that should you attempt to interfere with the intentions of the NPUR 9, you will be met with fierce resistance from the NPUR 9 movers and shakers, Vice Chair Anthony Robinson, be met with interference by Paulus Clare, Ricardo Jacobs, and Ed Scott, Alfred White, and the NPUR 9 cohorts and enablers.
That concludes the public comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Lindo. Our next item of ordinances for first reading, and as per policy, given kind of the cadence of things during COVID-19 protocol, we will read items for first reading at the full council meeting, so no action needed for item number G. We'll move on to item number H, ordinances for a second reading. Items number 2 through 4 may be taken as a block, and so I'd ask Ms. Holmes to please read them in before we vote on them.
Certainly. Good morning, council members. Item number 2, 21-0154, Z2120, an ordinance by zoning committee to amend section 1618C007 development controls to provide for bonus floor area ratio for developments that provide affordable housing in SPI 3 English Avenue Special Public Interest District and for other purposes. Staff and ZRB recommendation approval, NPU recommendation denial. Item number 3, 21-0230, Z2121, an ordinance by zoning committee to rezone from single-family residential conditional to commercial service district for property located at 1261 Lockwood Drive. Staff recommendation approval conditional, NPU and ZRB recommendation approval. Item number 4, 21-0232, Z2123, an ordinance by zoning committee to rezone from mixed residential commercial conditional and neighborhood commercial district to mixed residential commercial for property located at 1991 and 1999 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive Northwest. Staff, NPU, and ZRB recommendation approval.
Great. Could I get a motion and a second on these? And apologies for the crying baby in the back of Ms. Overstreet and Ms. Boone.
Motion to approve, please. Second, Overstreet.
Thank you. Please open the vote.
And Mr. Evans, I'm voice voting. This is Councilmember Winslow.
And how do you vote, Ms. Winslow?
In favor.
Thank you.
That's 7 yeas, 0 nays, Mr. Chair. Those items are favorable.
Terrific. Our next set of items are items number 5 through 7 and number 9, which also may be taken this block. If Ms. Holmes could read those in as well. These are likely favorable as amended.
Item number 5, 20-01637, Z-2052, an amended ordinance by zoning committee to rezone from commercial service district conditional beltline overlay to multifamily residential conditional beltline overlay for properties located at 21 Daniel Street. Staff recommendation denial, MP recommendation approval, ZRB recommendation approval conditional. Item number 6, 21-00152, U-2102, an amended ordinance by zoning committee for a special use permit for a daycare center pursuant to 1605-0051B for property located at 2700 Butner Road. Staff recommendation and ZRB recommendation approval conditional, MP recommendation approval. Item number 7, 21-00236, U-2103, an amended ordinance by zoning committee for a special use permit for a daycare center pursuant to 1606A-0051B for property located at 66 Howard Street Northeast. Staff recommendation, ZRB recommendation approval conditional, MP recommendation approval. Item number 9, 21-00233, Z-2124, an amended ordinance by zoning committee to rezone from multifamily residential conditional beltline overlay to multifamily residential conditional beltline overlay for a change of conditions. Staff and MP recommendation approval conditional, MP recommendation approval.
Great. Could I get a motion to approve and a second from the committee?
Motion to approve, Overstreet. Second, Winslow.
Thank you. Please open the vote, Ms. Linda.
The vote is open, Mr. Chair. Ms. Boone?
Yes.
Everyone, please vote. Mr. Shook? The vote's closed. That's 7 yeas, 0 nays. Those items are favorable as amended.
Item number 8.
Sorry, go ahead.
Item number 8, 21-00228, Z-2114, an amended ordinance by zoning committee to rezone from Fulton County R3 single-family dwelling district to residential limited commercial conditional for property located at 3430 Cascade Road. Recommendation is to hold. The companion paper can be heard by the Community Development and Human Services Committee.
Motion to hold. Overstreet. Winslow, second.
The vote is open. Councilmember Boone?
Yes.
The vote's closed. That's 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item will be held.
Item number 10, 21-00231, Z-2122, a substitute ordinance by zoning committee to rezone from single-family residential to multifamily residential conditional for property located at 1245, 1251, and 1257 Wichita Drive. Staff and ZRB recommendation approval conditional, NPU recommendation approval.
Move approval, Overstreet. Winslow, second.
The vote is open. Councilmember Boone?
Yes.
The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable on substitute.
Item number 11, 21-00229, Z2119, an ordinance by zoning committee to rezone from two-family residential conditional beltline overlay to residential general sector 4 beltline overlay for property located at 925 and 929 Hank Aaron Drive Southeast. Staff and ZRB recommendation denial, NPU recommendation approval.
This one is mine. This is Smith. The motion is to adverse. If somebody else wants to make it, that's okay.
Move to adverse. Move to adverse. Winslow. Second, Boone.
The vote is open. Councilmember Overstreet?
Yes. Affirmative.
The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item has been adversed.
Item number 12, 21-00299, an ordinance by Councilmember Nalin M. Archibald imposing a moratorium on the acceptance of any application for special administrative permit or building permit for which a special administrative permit has not been applied for, including land disturbance permits for any permit abutting the intersection of Flat Shoals Road and Boulder Crest Road for a period not to exceed 180 days and for other purposes.
Can we get a motion to approve in a second? Councilmember Overstreet, Boone, or Winslow?
Sorry, I couldn't unmute. Affirmative. The baby sounds so sweet.
Can we get a second? I'll go ahead and second this one, Darryl.
I'm sorry. That's what I meant. I meant second.
I think you were the first to motion, Ms. Overstreet, so I'll second.
Okay. I'm distracted. The baby, the maternal thing.
I'm the one that should be distracted.
I know. I'm like...
I got a hungry baby, and my wife is out this morning, so she's eating after this meeting, but we'll get a power through this meeting.
Okay, so move approval.
Ms. Winslow, second this.
Second, Boone.
The vote is open. We have Overstreet and Boone. Ms. Winslow?
Yeah, in favor.
The vote's closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable.
Thank you. And we have one item, Housing Committee item number 13, that we will amend or vote on amending it and then vote on moving it forward. If Ms. Holmes could read it in and, if possible, note the conditions that are going to be read in for the amendment.
Item number... A motion, I'm sorry, if we can have a motion to bring the amendment forward.
So moved.
Second,
Rocky.
Overstreet.
The vote is open. Councilmember Boone?
Yes.
Councilmember Winslow?
Actually, point of order, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
we so this is not is this a motion to bring forward the amendment, to vote on it? And what I'm asking is, I have not seen the amendment. and we have not even verbalized the amendment. So, I mean, I'm saying yes, like we always say yes to bringing forward an amendment, but I really don't know what's in the amendment.
Yeah, Ms. Holmes, if you could, again, read in the conditions that make up the amendment.
Certainly. The conditions will read as follows. The special use permit shall be valid for 5 years from the date of City Council adoption. The special use permit for a community center shall be valid as long as Westside Development Partners, LLC is the owner and operator. The special use permit is not transferable. The Westside Development Corporation shall demonstrate to the Office of Zoning and Development an executed lease for off-site parking for special events prior to the issuance of the certificate of occupancy and shall provide an annual update of compliance. There shall be no application made for liquor license at 627 English Avenue. The hours of operation for the community center shall be Monday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. The hours of operation for private and special events shall be Monday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. All private and special events shall not exceed 500 patrons. All private and special events will be in the designated areas. All private and special events outside the building on the grounds of 627 English Avenue shall take place only on private property and shall require a permit from MOES, the Mayor's Office of Special Events, should the event exceed 75 people. The operator shall always provide private garbage disposal service or city service on site, and the facility shall not be used for purposes of commercial child care, daycare, after-school care, or summer camp.
Thank you. So the item before us is to amend the paper with those conditions. I know we have a motion in a second, but I will maybe, if we can, scratch those, and now that they've been read in, see if there's a motion in a second.
So this is Councilmember Overstreet. I motioned to bring forth the amendment. Have we spoken with Councilmember Brown about it yet to see where the council member stands on everything? Have you?
Yes.
Chair?
Yep. So Councilmember Overstreet, this is Councilmember Faruqi. I spoke with Councilmember Brown's staff today. They were in favor of moving it forward with these conditions.
Mr. Chair, this is Councilmember Boone. I have a question also.
Please, go ahead.
I do not have the amendment in front of me, but I would like an answer to a question. Are we saying that 500 patrons will be allowed in this community, on this street, up to 500 patrons for a special event in a residential area? Is this what this amendment is saying?
Yes, ma'am. The conditions, if there is a special event held in the school facility, that they could have no more than 500 patrons in the building. There are two special event sites. One site that is the outer area on the grounds, and then there's another area with a terrace level inside of the facility that can hold up to 500 persons.
So, question: is there parking? Is parking permittable in that area up to 500 cars? And was this a concern of the VRB? They denied this application, correct?
Yes, ma'am. So on site there are up to 100 spaces on site, inclusive of 16 on-street parking spaces around the building. In addition to that, as a part of the conditions, the applicant is required to provide a lease agreement for off-site parking so that he or she or whomever is having the special event may shuttle persons from an off-site location where there will be ample parking to the school facility should an event be taking place.
Ms. Holmes, have we done a site visit on this property?
Yes, ma'am.
And 500 cars would be doable for that community?
No, ma'am. The 500 cars would not be on site. The 500 persons would be on site. They are required to maintain an off-site parking location where persons who are attending a special event at this facility can park somewhere off-site where there will be 500 spaces or even more spaces. And then they would be shuttled from that location to the school site enjoy the special event, and then be shuttled back to the location to pick up their car. There will not be 500 cars on site here.
This really seems problematic to me for a residential area to have to accommodate a venue of this sort, and I will not be supporting this application. Thank you.
So thank you, Ms. Boone. Let me just be clear where we are in the procedure. I know we started the vote on bringing the amendment forward before we even vote on the amendment. If that's correct, Ms. Linda, I believe there's one outstanding vote to bring it forward, and then we can vote it up or down whether we want to move it forward or not. Is that right?
Mr. Chair.
Okay, and I believe the only vote we're missing is Ms. Winslow's.
I'm in favor of the amendment.
Okay.
The two amendments.
So Ms. Winslow, we're voting to bring the amendment forward, so that's what this vote is for.
Okay. Okay. Can I make a motion to bring them forward?
So we've already moved it forward. You're just the last vote.
Well, I'm in favor. I'm in favor. I apologize.
All good.
The vote is closed.
So now,
Mr. Chair, one moment. The vote is closed. That's 7 yeas, 0 nays. The amendment. That's 6 yeas, 1 abstention to bring the amendment forward.
Great.
The amendment is before you.
The amendment is before us. We've heard some conversation. Ms. Boone shared her opinion on it. Are there any other comments or reflections before we vote on this matter?
Mr. Chair.
So
I need to read that.
If I may, sorry if I just interrupt. I now have belatedly received a secondary input from the council member who represents this footprint who wants to now hold the paper. So this amendment is before us. I recommend that we either do one of two things, and I defer to the staff on this. Either we hold it if we can do that, or we have to vote against moving it forward, and if that, we'll send it back to held.
That's what we need to do, because I just can't imagine this going forward. We should hold this paper. What needs to happen, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, you can. I don't believe we need another vote to hold. The paper's already held. You just basically amended it, and it has not moved forward.
If that's the case, I would suggest that we just leave it as it is, and we can adjourn and then pick it up when appropriate. Any objections from the committee?
No, this is Councilmember Overstreet. That's my understanding, that all we were doing was adding that amendment.
Yep.
That's where I am with it.
So for the public's sake, actually, just for clarity before we close out, we moved to bring forward the amendment, Ms. Lindo. That doesn't mean we amended the paper, though. Is that correct?
Oh, that's correct, Mr. Chair. That's absolutely correct.
Right. So the paper sits held in our committee. No changes have been made to it. You heard proposed changes that we will maybe address at a later date. But for now, the status quo remains. The paper remains held in our committe. And with that, please.
Yeah. So, a couple of things. I think it's good that before we just automatically bring forward an amendment in any committee, this was a good example because I made this mistake before. We normally just say, hey, bring forward an amendment, and everybody says yes, but you may or may not agree to the amendment. That was a significant number of administrative changes to this policy, and I think they were in the right direction based on the information I've heard from others. But I'm glad that we're holding it because I think that there's another round of community input towards those changes. I'm not trying to belabor a project that's been 13 years in the making and definitely an eyesore and a community need to get filled. But I think doing it right requires, there were votes taken based on a certain set of circumstances, and then now it seems like there's been some positive movement, but now we need to hear from the community again to see, all right, do y'all agree with this? Is it how many, Ms. Boone was talking about things related to parking, hours of operation, and some of those things. I think we're sounds like there's a lot of good progress being made. It sounds like Mr. Brown has his, definitely he's involved and is trying to make sure this goes the right way. So I just want to say to colleagues, I'm glad we're holding it, but I'm also aware that when we have that many number of conditions put on something, then we need to hear them, and then we need to hear the community's positions on them. So that's why I abstain, because I have not heard community opinions specifically about all those administrative changes. Again, I think they're in the right direction, but I want to hear more. So glad we're holding. Thank you.
Any announcements or other comments from the body?
Can I make the motion to adjourn?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, you may.
Motion to adjourn. Take care of that baby. She sounds very sweet.
You managed to get her to fall asleep. So parenting victories this morning.
Good job.
Best meeting ever. But it was a great contract, and if I didn't know any better, I would have thought I was in a CDHS work session.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Yeah. Till next time. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.